In all the things that have torn me apart, nothing has made me more whole. Covering the good, the bad, and the shit that keeps us on going. Straight from the head ref's table, I'm your host, Travis Papa Bear Rogers, and you're listening to A Forest Through the Trees, a cave podcast. Here with the man of the hour, Coach Carl, Big C.
Big C.
Here back with me. I don't want to interrupt you. Here back with me from our first pilot podcast. We've been talking about this for a really long time. Like I said, I've kind of spitballed this idea for the last 3 to 4 years, and now we finally are going to make this happen. So I think when we first started talking about it, we were going to do something a little more lighthearted for the first episode, and I think that changed pretty quickly. Given the circumstances of things expanding in the cave, meets coming up, and all kinds of things like that, I really think it's a good opportunity to explore some things that not only new powerlifters feel and talk about, but also veterans alike. So, I don't want to start this off, I guess, on a serious note, but I think since you and me have been talking about it, I've been giving it a lot of thought, especially given like my current injuries and things like that. So, I kind of wrote you a text message yesterday.
You did.
And I kind of wanted to read that because it kind of, not only was it meant for you, but it kind of really outlined what I was feeling, what we've been talking about, and just kind of some things that I wanted to put in perspective and I think other people can relate to. So I sent it to myself so that way I could see it. But this is what I said to Coach Carl. And I can't imagine you being a coach and getting that text from one of your athletes, how it made you feel.
I know.
Heavy stuff.
Heavy, super heavy. That's my first athlete. Sending some super heavy text.
And if you want to sign up with Coach Carl, he'll make sure you blow your titty off in the middle of the peak.
Yep.
All right, so this is what I sent him. I said, I've been trying to think how to say something that matters, how to start this off with a message. But the truth is, I've never really been scared of being nobody. Where in a hobby sport, everyone's a nobody. I'm scared of not being a somebody to the people who lifted me up the most, that gave me my life, my gym, my home. Of not being enough to a sport that I owe everything to. My sobriety, my wife, a second chance. But my biggest fear? Losing my love for a sport and seeing the repercussions and hard choices I had to make, whether it was the right one or the wrong one. To not be around to see the ones I passed the torch to become resentful in a room that used to bring me peace and drive, to turn the lights off for the last time, and wish I could have done something more, for more people, for all of us here. I'm afraid of who that guy is, and I hope none of us ever get the chance to meet him. So when I sent you that yesterday, so of course I saw the little iPhone blips. Yep. Like you were texting back, and then they kind of went away, and then they kind of came back.
Yeah.
So I knew you were kind of taking your time on thinking about what to say. And I guess my big question is, when I sent that to you, is there anything in here that you relate to so far in your younger powerlifting journey?
Well, when we say younger, I'm probably 2-3 years into this whole powerlifting thing.
Right.
Training a bit longer, but actually being in the thick of it, I'd probably say only about 2 years. And really, if we can go back on what you had said before, in a sport where everyone's a nobody, it's hard to forget that, like, this is just one big hobby, and there's no big cash prize in this. We all in this, like, kind of like for the heart, and I really feel like it's you don't want to become something that you don't like to see later on down the road.
Like, if I could kind of like clarify, you're meaning like you don't want to become that person or become that lifter that you look back later on and you're like, man, I really wish I wasn't those guy. I wish I was a different person that people look to.
Right. Like, you don't want to come off a certain way, then look back down the road and say, oh, man, I was a total ass. Like, I was way above myself. I had no reason to be acting like that. And yeah, I mean, I'm not. There's a lot of people that have some pretty big heads in this sport. Everybody knows it, but that's just something I want to be aware of going forward in the sport.
No, and I think that's a really good outlook to have, and I think a lot of youngers, and when I say younger, we're talking about like 16 into early 20s, still in that junior teenage division into actual junior division. That you see a lot get a big head and are pushing really hard, and then a lot of people talk about them fizzling out in a sport within 2 to 3 years.
When they haven't even started.
Right, exactly. Retiring from a sport where they haven't even had a career yet,
Yeah,
right? And
we'll
we'll probably touch on that later. I feel definitely some type of way about that. But since we are kind of talking about this thing and this nuance of new powerlifting and you being in your first like 2 to 3 years, why don't you throw down the stat card, Carl?
The stat card.
The stat card.
Okay.
That open P.
So, no raw meats for myself. I'm an equipped guy. I've only competed in single ply, but I'm working towards my first multi coming up within the next 4 weeks now.
4 weeks. 4 weeks
Coming
on
up
Sunday,
4.
right? Yep,
Coming
4
up
weeks on
4.
Sunday.
So really been enjoying it. Single ply numbers: squat 717, bench 551, deadlift 600. 1868 total in the 220s. I think I weighed in 214.
Yeah, you were on the lighter side.
Yep, definitely not filling out the class yet, but trying to get there.
Had really good outings these last couple meets. Last one,
Yeah.
we had some technical issues, but strength was definitely showcased. So I
Yeah.
think we've cleaned those up this prep. I'm very confident in that going forward.
I think so too.
As your coach, not coach, because you coach me, I don't coach you.
Are you
so.
telling me this as a coach or a friend?
As we always joke that as a friend, I totally think you should take that number. As a coach, we really need to analyze and be more responsible.
Let's tweak some things.
Yeah. Let's think about what we're doing here. I'll throw my stat card out there. I'm the opposite.
It's a bit more extensive.
A little, wee bit more extensive. I've done 30 plus meets. I've probably been in this sport well over a decade now. I did raw for 7 or 8 years. I've been doing equipped in its all different layers and skill levels the last couple years since a couple surgeries. My best raw total was I'm gonna mess this up. 1851 in sleeves at a lower 198, 1940 at a lower 198 in raw with wraps because I was big in the first openings of the current U.S. Pro and all that stuff when raw with wraps was the absolute shit. It was my favorite time for powerlifting, most exciting time for powerlifting, and I'll put that on anything.
If I'm not mistaken, that puts you in top 10s?
A couple times.
Yeah.
So I definitely have some top 10s to my name for multiple years running in a row. And probably one of my biggest regrets is before I had the really bad quad surgery, I never got that chance to take 2K raw, which I was very close, but definitely out of the question now. Would not. I'd like to live around, to see you do great, so I'm not trying to out myself that early.
Raw powerlifting for the birds.
Yeah, raw powerlifting is for the birds now. So I've heard bad stuff. What happens when you bench raw?
We don't know.
We've never experienced that before. But so 1940 raw with wraps. I did my first 2K in single ply. I've done quite a few 2K totals. My first one back, I went unlimited in an F8 shirt. And then I just got into a double ply SDP. So I'm tried really to be Thanos and collect all the gemstones and complete the gauntlet and have that full resume on open powerlifting. It's something I always want to do, and some people that inspired me, Micah Moreno, Amber Hansen, just people who were amazingly gifted lifters, both raw, in and out of gear. It looked like they could just effortlessly pop between classes and divisions, and I just thought that was the most badass shit I'd ever seen. So shout out to those two for really being inspirations. I know we don't get to talk as much as we used to, but definitely had a huge impact on me and how I perceived, like, quote unquote, what a good and talented lifter was. So now we're kind of on that subject. Let's kind of like look into some of the things we've been talking about for fear, and especially pertaining to you since we're on that subject. Last 4 weeks, man, we're coming up on, the end of prep or into the peak, as they call it, before the taper. And so what are some really like last minute thoughts and fears you have for prep?
Well, the nerves are kicking, You're getting excited. You're getting close. training since, meet in February, so training ever since February, getting into this one, throwing multiply gear on. Top things I'm thinking about would probably just be like, hey, I hope am able to retain all the information I know and how to use this gear, because it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
And run into your first meet in any style of competing. If you're doing a raw meet for the first time, there's plenty of things go with that. Single ply, multiply, it's all different. So,
well, not only even retaining the skill and knowledge to use the equipment, retaining the weight to make it fit properly, man.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than a suit going, quote unquote, raw in the middle of a lift, and you're like, well, this used to be tighter.
Yeah. I've been training at a certain body weight this whole time, and I'm just fighting, trying to keep it on. Because we decided to run a meet multiply in the summertime.
Fun times. 2 to 3 layers in the middle of the summer, a great time to try to keep
very
on
wet
weight.
training sessions.
I think next time we'll think that through and reverse it. Do single ply in the winter multiply. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep us on the same bad track. Yeah, multiply winter all the way. Multiply. The more layers you have to bundle up outside, the more layers you should have on in the gym.
That's right.
We'll just keep it at that motto to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Easiest way to go about it.
Yeah. So I think too, when we talk about like the last minute fears, of course, especially as you get more experienced in the sport and have more like quote unquote like accolades to your name, I think lifters, I always get the fear of, well, you're only as good as your last meet.
Yep,
right. So I always get scared of like, am I going to bomb out again? Am I not going to do as good? Is my ranking going to go down in the top 10? Like, I'm constantly trying to get to a different number to, outdo myself to get higher on that rankings board, regardless of who's at the meet. But I think that really changes once you get to that certain level, because I know for a while, especially when you're in your beginner to intermediate phase, and don't take this the wrong way, I still consider you you've done how many meets now? 5?
2, a bench only, a push pull, and like 3 or 4.
So we're
powers.
Roughly 5-ish, give or take, the full equippedness of a meet. But I think when you're in those first couple years, it's always, am I good enough? And it's not in the same sense as later on when you're a veteran, are you good enough to boost those numbers, to boost that ranking, to go against the best of the best? It's, am I even qualified to be here?
To hang out with these people and do this meet and be on this platform.
Yeah, am I allowed to walk in here? Like, you have almost a guilty conscience of it. And I think a lot of lifters feel that fear because, especially when you're talking to even new members in the gym, especially when I talk to people like after meet directors awards and talk to people that had just come to spectate a meet and now are like, man, I think I want to do one. And the first question is like, cool, man. Well, we host lots of meets. Like, when do you want to do a meet? And they said, well, when I'm strong enough.
Yeah.
And I think one of the first things I always tell them is that the day you wait till you think you're strong enough is the day you'll never do a meet.
Yep. You always miss it.
You just want to jump in and get your feet wet. And that's a solid piece of advice for anybody listening. Especially if you've done a couple meets and you have a friend that's wanting to jump in with you and they're just too hesitant to dip their feet in the pool, best advice right there is you're gonna mess up regardless. I mean, shit. My 28th meet, I was still missing a rack command. Like, dude, even veterans make mistakes. Like, it just happens, and it's part of the fun and part of the learning experience of the sport. So if you can help your friend, your newcomer, overcome that fear and remind them that, like, everyone here is going to make mistakes.
Yep.
Just go and have fun, and that'll be the day you get addicted to it too, and you'll want to do another meet. You're already in prep again, and then you're doing dumb stuff like meets back to back to back.
Yeah.
But
some coaches don't let.
I would never do something like that. That sounds very dangerous.
I can speak on some personal experience on that.
Oh, okay. Can you now?
So, I don't know. I think I trained powerlifting, in the gym, adjacent to everyone in here, for maybe like 2.5 years before you said, "Hey, you're signing up for this meet that's 3 weeks out, and you're going to do bench only, and you're going to have a good time."
And that was, who was that? It was you, me, and Josh, and we were all in single ply shirts, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and we all jumped in because we were running. I wanted to help my judges who were been around mostly Raw because of the
Right.
region we're in. I'm like, hey, I really want to get some judges familiar with single ply shirts, single ply benches, how it looks different, how the retraction sinks,
Yep.
like all these different things to look and the nuances of a shirted bench. So I was like, I'm gonna jump in and y'all can judge me yourself. So like we had a lot of fun with that and trying to help not only Carl and Josh Miller get their first shirted meets under their belt, to get a little experience in shirts, but also to help the refs out too, because we want to make sure our meets are a welcoming environment for. It doesn't matter if you're raw, naked knee out here, or you're in a full kit.
Yeah.
We want to make sure everyone's welcome. But I think that's a really good segue into kind of some other things we're talking about, not to get real dark and deep again, but so one of the things I wanted to talk to you, especially you, Carl, because you have a lot more experience in this than I do, and we've both been through different hardships ourselves, is I wrote down hard times make harder people or better friends. So I kind of wanted to revisit a little bit of like not only how you and me became closer. I mean, obviously, I sort of like you to invite you to be my co-host on the podcast.
It's an honor.
And I have officially adopted calling you Big C, whether I like it or not. It's Coach Carl for a while.
That's what I heard the most after that first area.
Dude,
was
right?
people
Yeah,
saying,
everyone
"Hey,
in the
what's
gym,
going on,
like,
Big C."
even joking around. But hey, that's how nicknames stick.
That's right.
So that's how
It's
it happens.
staying.
It's staying. It's here for good. But we met, dude, we've known each other for how long? 8 years?
Probably 8 years.
8 years, right? Because we met at
Pure
Pure before it got bought out, though, right? It was
Right,
still
Powerhouse.
still Powerhouse
Still
at the time
Powerhouse.
in West O.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
You were some
right?
big tattooed guy lifting some heavy weights,
Yeah.
and I was like, gotta go talk to him. Gotta go see what's going on. you
And
know?
then I think once we did that, I invited you out to the OG cave, right, with the
Yeah.
barn.
Yep.
Yeah, in the barn.
Y'all were like moving weights or something like that in there, getting some equipment, and I showed up and people were like wheeling stuff in.
Oh, that's right. We had just bought the second side,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, we had split, and so we had moved. We were moving all that lady stuff out. So the old gym used to be a barn, but it was a split cement floored chicken coop that was divided into storage units. And the one lady threw a shit fit that we were next to her. So we convinced the owner of like all the rental space, like, hey, if we team up with like 20 people and move all this lady's stuff for her to this other one to save her money, will you let us knock the wall out and expand? And he said yes, and that's how we got our first like bigger
Sweet.
gym space.
Sweet.
So we trained like that for a while, and then of course, I wouldn't say followed. You came with me here and
Right.
helped out, and you've been a very trusted member and one of my friends for a long time now. But I think friend is a hard word because we've been friends for a very long time. But we could definitely both agree that our relationship has drastically changed within this
yeah.
last year.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
there's a huge difference.
Definitely.
Now, you had bought programming and coaching from me before.
Yep.
But we were kind of off and on with training. I know you had a lot going on. You had just bought the new house. Like you had a bunch of stuff going on. And I don't know how much you want to dive into that.
Well, so I got some programming off you, run some raw stuff in here just to, stay lifting weights because that's what I loved doing. That's what I'd done forever. And we had just gotten me into a pair of briefs and a bench shirt,
You're
occasionally.
skipping a part. We had tried to get you to do raw meets for
Yeah.
a couple times.
Yeah, you did.
And every time you were looking great, your back would go out.
I would get hurt. I would get hurt.
Your back would go out.
Yeah.
So then we saved you by introducing you to our Lord and Savior Super Katana.
That's right.
And got you some power panties, and that saved the day.
That's what it was.
That's what the power panties led the way.
So, as far as like what we were talking about before, with I got the house and I was doing my thing there, and I had a really busy schedule. I was in a relationship at the time, and I just had other priorities at the time.
No, it's understandable.
Life was different. Priorities were different. Pushing for different things, and things fall through sometimes. You have to change up plans. There was a time when it's probably about 2 months after things kind of split up, and I was I didn't know what I was going to do with my training or what I was going to do with my time in general.
To be fair, and not to like kick you while you're down, but there's for a while we all didn't know what you were going to do with life in general.
Nope, I didn't either.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
We were fucking worried about you, dude.
I took my time,
Yeah.
out of here, out of pretty much everything, and had to be pretty honest with myself on what I wanted to do and how I wanted to take that direction. And so I reached out to Travis to come back in here. I dropped in a day, and I remember when I was in here, I got here before you, or did you walk in when I was already in there, or did I walk in?
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, he's made his return. So that was like a warm welcome back into the scene, and hopped on some coaching with you, trying to like tie things down more serious, getting into powerlifting and equip powerlifting, and it's just been a ride ever since.
I think you're way too humble in explaining how this went down, because for what I remember, and maybe, hey, as an English teacher, I probably like to fabricate things and make them a little more romanticized in my head than you. You're probably the realist out of the two of us. But what I remember is, there had been a lot of text trading and like us checking in on you and making sure you're okay, because we got worried we didn't see you.
It was probably like once a week, and I was like, yeah.
And then I was like, I told Alex and Rob, I was like, yo, we're gonna like kick this motherfucker's door down and like drag him to the gym and like force feed him, because you had lost a shitload of weight too.
I'd probably lost like 25 pounds.
Yeah, he had lost a lot of weight. So yeah, you were very humble with sugarcoating. Like, you lost a lot of weight, bro. Like we were worried about you. Remember when you were in here, I remember how sad, even though you were here, because I know this, like, especially looking at it now, like, this is your happy place. Like, you were very sad, and it made me sad. But, like, I knew you needed time, to adjust, to get over things, to be, for lack of a better word, okay. And it wasn't the first day. I don't even think it was the second day, but maybe the third day. Like back in, you and me were training together, and like we had been training together. But I'm saying about the third time, I remember this change in you, and you were like, hey, I want to do coaching, and I want to go all in.
Yep.
And flash forward like a month or two later, like I had people be like, yo, what the fuck are you feeding this kid?
Yeah.
Because when he said, hey, I want to coaching, I want to go all in, like this motherfucker went all in. Like, you blew the fuck up. All your numbers shot up. I think within the first 2 months, you had your first 600-pound squat.
That was in July of, was that July of 24 or August of 24? I think
something like that. Yeah, it was like at the end of summer maybe.
Yeah.
And then like what, 2 months later we had our first 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. Like it was the most unbelievable progress you had ever seen. And as much as I'd love to be like, well, hey, I'm his coach. Like I would be like, they're like, what are you feeding this kid? I'm like, heartache and good programming, man. Right. Like that shit does wonders.
It works magic.
So yeah, it works magic, man. If you're upset and you got something to put it into and you can block it all out, man.
Have some direction in it.
Yeah, it got wild. It got wild. So I think that really brought us closer, because your numbers started to elevate where we could train easier together.
Yep.
And I had already really been diving more into conjugate. And you seem to really like bands and chains.
Love it. Can't get enough.
Yeah. And then we just kind of clicked, and then like, yeah, we were tight friends, but then that just changed everything, because we became like official like training partners.
Right.
Which was weird for me, because I had been obviously like top 10 training hard all the time, but I really just trained around you guys. You know what I mean? Like
never something like training with
somebody. Not like with, like I was around helping everyone and like, but doing my own thing. Like I would probably be on my own deadlift platform, because like no one felt like stripping weight and shit like that. But like it was the first time where I was like, fuck, dude, I forgot like what this feeling is to have somebody like have your back like literally the whole fucking workout.
Exactly.
So it's a huge game changer, and I'm sure we could make an entire podcast on why the fuck you should stop being a lone wolf and why you should be in group training right now. And we're not talking about fucking Zumba and Pilates. We're talking about like in a group looking out for each other. Everyone puts in the work. Everyone's wrapping knees, pulling
It's
monos,
crucial.
loading plates. Yeah,
I'm all
with
about
the
it.
crew. With the fucking crew.
I wish we had a bigger crew around here. I'd
I
love
do.
to bring more people.
I do, but hey, as fortunate as we are, I cannot stiff the fact that we are lucky to have what we have. And we do have a crew,
Yes.
and it's a mixed bag. Like, it's not just, I was in multi, Carl was in single, we had a couple raw guys. Like, it was all over the place, but we still had a solid crew, which, changed it for a lot of us.
It changed the whole dynamic of everything. Everybody's numbers are going up.
Yeah. So, kind of rerouting where we're talking about, I think one of the biggest things with fear, too, is, of course, that first meet, man. Everyone's scared shitless of their first meet. Like, doesn't matter how much you prepare for it, you get the bubble guts. Like, and I think even today, that first squat out of the gate, no matter how many meets you've done, it's still the worst, dude. It's like, the way I always compare it to is like, when you're having a dream and you're falling in the dream and you kind of like, like you wake up and it almost like knocks the wind out of you.
Yeah.
That's like the sinking feeling I get when I know I'm walking up for my first squat. Like, I'm fucking terrified.
Yep.
And then if you pick the number responsibly,
It should be a lot.
it
less.
flies up, and then you're like, okay, I'm good. I'm in the
You
meet.
should
Like,
be a whole lot less nervous. if
yeah,
you
I
have a good
punched
number
my
picked.
golden ticket. We're in it for the meet now. So, but I think one of my first experiences that really helped shape that for me was, I think my first meet was, it wasn't Maryland State Championships, but it was in the same place for CrossFit, back when they did meets at CrossFit Frederick for USPA East. And I remember that one, was it, God, what? I can remember the shirt so vividly. It was fucking the ugliest, like, bright green, and it had a real shitty, like, I'm only saying that because I'm an artist for shirts. I'm like, the art was shit.
Critiquing everything about
the meet
that.
was great. The art was shit. No, the Mid-Atlantic Classic, and it had the fucking Hawk on there, and he was holding the weight. It was like your most stereotypical like AI kind of like bullshit like comic character with a weight. But I remember that meet specifically because I was in the gym at 181. I hadn't even really filled out the 181 class. I probably weighed in like $178 or something like that. Like, I was underweight because I did 181 for years before finally moving to 198. But I think I was squatting around 480, 500 in the gym at 181 as a new lifter.
Yeah.
And then I went to the meet and got fucking humbled. I think I maybe made it out there with like 430, 440. So it was like easily like, 40 to 60 pounds under what I had been doing. So I was like, God, it's like kind of hard.
Yeah, it's a lot different than lifting in the gym with your friends.
Yeah, and I know I definitely hadn't benched my first 300 because I think that was like one of my first meets. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna bench 300. I fucking did not. Because I think my first total was like maybe like 1308 or 1305, something right over the cusp of 1300. But I definitely fell in love with the sport. I went without a coach, without a handler. Me and Jess went like,
Damn.
or no. Did Jess go? I mean, she went, but I'm trying to remember if that was her first meet too, because I thought I'd done one before her. I think we both did the same one. I'm not sure, because I've done quite a few more meets than she has, probably like double. I think she's done maybe 15, and I've done like into the 30s.
Still 15.
Yeah, still very experienced. I'm just saying I can't remember if we exactly started at the first one, because maybe I'm thinking of refereeing, because I had reffed meets before she started reffing.
Yeah, maybe so.
But I think that first meet and that first humbleness really shapes what you are and aren't afraid of for like a big majority of the rest of that intermediate powerlifting career, right? Like, especially when you see your first person get hurt in a meet.
Oh, yeah.
Or see your first like bomb out. Like, dude, I remember taking the kids to a meet and I watched a guy tear a quad tendon.
Ah,
Yeah.
hate to see it.
Yeah, hate to see it. Wouldn't wish it on anyone. But I saw it, and like my kids are like, "Holy shit!" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, that happens." And they're like, "Do we have to squat still?" I'm like, "You should." And I mean, they were terrified, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, badass kids. They were strong as shit.
In that point, they realized, hey, this sport.
Yeah, it's
there's
not just like
consequences.
there is consequences to sport. And I think
Things go wrong sometimes.
a lot of people for a long time, besides little like for lack of a better term, nicks and scrapes.
Yeah, I tweaked something.
Yeah, like, oh, it'll go away in 3 days. Like, not a lot of people experience, like, hard, like, life-changing, possibly powerlifting ending injuries.
Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes you never do if you're lucky enough.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
The-
now, I'm a firm believer in, like, it's not a matter of if, it's when.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely think that it holds true for most of powerlifting. Now, I wouldn't say at all times I was the most responsible guy powerlifting.
I don't think anyone's ever said you're responsible.
That's hard truth.
People
hard
called
truth.
you a lot of things. Responsible is one.
Responsible is not one of them. Probably responsible and, like, nice. Probably not the two topmost qualities are right off the bat. Dickhead would probably be one of them.
That's probably ranked top 3.
Probably top 3 ranks. But it comes from a good place. I think everybody that knows me, that it comes from a good place.
There's heart behind it.
Yeah. But I think, especially when you get to the fear of, like, talking about, like, injuries, man, like, I've had some pretty bad ones. I think, like, if I had to rank them, like, my top 3 or 4, obviously bilateral double quad tear, and that's off the bone. That's relearning to walk. That's what is the article I said that the recovery rate was something stupid. It was like if you could walk a mile in 45 minutes or some shit like that.
What's his name?
Chris Duffin wrote it. Yeah. Because they had a bunch of stats for, like, who recovers from this, and it's like the 1% of the 1%.
Super low.
So that one's pretty bad. Tricep off the bone was really, really bad. And I still got the little fishing line scar on this one. What are some other really bad ones I've had? The double calf tear with the...
That's what I was just about.
The double calf tear with the blood clot was really, really bad. I had the werewolf foot, we called it. The whole foot turned black, a little like a zombie. It was crazy. And I definitely say for, like, the end of my top 4, it didn't take a crazy amount of time to go away. I was saying maybe month tops, 3 weeks. Testicular torsion.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got that 1 year. 1 year before we went on Christmas break. And if anyone doesn't know what that is, it's when you're... the cord that runs between your man and your boys gets wrapped around itself somehow on the inside.
Kind of both.
Yeah, it's not great.
You said it was before Christmas break?
It was like the day we were going to Christmas break. I was warming up in the gym when I was still coaching as the weight training director at the high school. And me and the boys were warming up. And I think I was only deadlifting like 315. And I was like, yo, something is wrong.
Like,
get
how do you
Jerry.
explain that?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, just get Jerry. He's like, who's like our athletic director? I'm like, get him in a pee bag. Like, it's bad, boys. But I think it's weird the way those kinds of incidents shape your idea of fear in the sport, because nothing's quite the same coming back to it. And obviously for me, I'm talking about that physically. Obviously, you just don't move the way you move. Like, I had to relearn how to bench, I had to relearn how to squat. Like,
body's built different.
Yeah, you are literally built different now, and not by, like, the cool way. Like, he's built different. No, like, seriously, mathematically and mechanically now, with metal pieces, you are built different. But when you step to that bar, like, the first couple times, and, like, you're rehabbed enough to be like, okay, maybe I can get back to this. Like, first of all, if something pops, that sound never goes away. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Every time I squat, I hear it. Every time, like, I get under the bar, I hear it. Like, every time you get under, it's always... oh, fuck, like, this is going to happen again. And it's like this looming feeling you cannot shake. And I know there's tons of people who have come back from injuries like that. Who's the big burly redhead guy? You know who I'm talking about. Ginger Cleese. Yeah. So he had double quad tears. Yeah, and, of course, Micah's had multiple knee surgeries on both knees, and he's still absolute monster right now. But... I'm sure, and I'm sure if you talk to all these people, like, those, even if they look good, even if they're recover good, even if they're moving weight good, like, that fear just takes a hold of you. It's a different part of you. Like, yeah, you can muster it and put it in a small space to hibernate in your head while you do the lift, but it's never truly gone. and I don't know if you were here for that, but I was squatting like maybe my first red plate on a squat bar to a box here. And in suit bottoms, mind you, not even raw, like suit bottoms with one plate, right? Loose ones. And Matt's here with me.
Yeah.
My business partner, Matt Barrow. And he's like, dude, like, what are you doing? Just get the fuck down there. Go to the box. Yeah, just go. Stop being a pussy. Go to the box. I'm like, Matt, I literally had my fucking legs put back on, dude. He's like, well, yeah, just go to the box. And I get that real high-pitched voice when I'm, like, pissed off. So we're, like, screaming back at each other. And I think he had recorded and sent it to me, like, a month or two ago. And he's like, you remember this shit? But, like, I just always recall that incident. Because even though it's funny to, like, look at videos like that and talk about it, my first real experience with that and, like, trying to get over that was when you went with me and we went to the first Freaks.
Oh, yeah.
In Baltimore.
Yep.
And dude, I remember how emotional I was warming up for that. Like, I was freaking the fuck out. Like, hyperventilating.
That was your first
like,
week back from it.
Yeah, hyperventilating, like crying the whole time I'm warming up. Like, I'm like, dude, like, I'm just gonna get out on this bar and my leg's gonna fucking explode under me. And like it was so different because our whole gym, even my PT.
We ran pretty deep there.
We did. We showed
like
up like
12 or 13
we had like
of us.
5 deep on all warm ups. Like we had the guys handing my bar off for bench with feathering for sides because I was in a shirt. But like we had a crew, and again there it goes back to the crew training. But again, another podcast, another time. But it was just so different when you have your crew, because I think that kind of reflects back to what you said. Like you develop this fear too of like you have to be this certain guy for everyone, and it's not to impress them. It's not to say, hey, like I'm a big shot, I'm the best. It's because like you feel like you have to lead by example, and like if you pussy out, if you quit, like what does that showcase to the very people you're trying to make better? Like what? Like for example, my pec blew off like what 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you seeing me in here still, and trying to do something, is a game changer versus me being like, dude, I'm fucking done. Like
Smoked,
like I'm done. This is all you. You know,
Yep.
like you have to reevaluate, and it gives you a chance to think about like, okay, so what went wrong? How can I adjust things? How can I reflect on this and do things differently in order to change like the possible outcome of this situation? But I want to get to this question because you were fucking super close to this. Your first Sure to Meet we did here.
Yes.
We called you 1/3.
The 1/3.
The 1/3 for a fucking long ass time, because why don't you tell them about that?
Well, I was a bit overzealous in the opener I wanted to take. I had gotten like I was still 181 then, I think. Was I 181? No, I was a 198 then, and I had gotten like a stomach bug like 2 or 3 weeks out from the meet, and I dropped down like 12 or 13 pounds.
Oh, you mean so your gear didn't fit?
So my gear didn't fit at all, and and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna lower my opener. It's fine, no big deal. And I don't even remember how they weren't. I just couldn't press it the first time.
Yeah.
I couldn't press it, and then I believe it got out of the groove on the second attempt, and I just retook the same number 3 times, and it was the best feeling when I was able to take it for the third attempt, and I actually was able to lock it out. So that earned me the name 1/3.
I remember me and Josh Miller like this, like peeking around the corner of the door, like both, like we were sweating bullets, man. I'm like, bro, we finally got him to compete. If he bombs out, he's never going to do this again with us. I was like, this is going to single-handedly start and end Carl's powerlifting career. Yeah, I was freaking the fuck out. I was like, oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a crazy ride. First meet. Get the bomb out of the way there,
I mean, I would say that's probably not great advice to offer. Just bomb out, then you'll be fine from here on out. I've bombed out. But Speaking of bomb outs, I think that's a big fear for both first timers and veterans alike.
Everybody, yeah.
Everyone fears bombing out because, I mean, you have your very superficial part of it where you got like, well, fuck, I'm going to post this recap on my Instagram and my social and look like a dumbass. Plus, you got in real time your friends and family who've come
People
out to
show
support
up
you.
to come out, yeah,
and you're like,
exactly.
well, I just, for a lot, how you feel I've made a fool of myself in front of everyone, which certainly isn't the case. Like, shit happens.
It can be out of your control sometimes.
Yeah. Especially depending on like the meat conditions and things like, some meats aren't always as smooth as others.
That's what makes them meats, though.
Yeah, that is what makes them meats. If you can roll with the punches, like that's what makes a good competitor.
That's what makes a great
I've
competitor.
done really good totals at shit meats, and I've done really bad totals at great meats. Like, I've done it all. Like, you can't let that dictate your performance at the end of the day.
Not at all.
So, I mean, we've had my last one, the one before that. That bench was slick as fuck.
It was pretty
That
slick.
bench
We're
was
sliding around.
slick as
Even
fuck.
in the warm-ups, we're
Yeah.
just like, oh, okay.
When you went to dig in to try to get your arch higher for your shirt, you were like,
You sliding back
and just
3
sliding
inches.
back. I'm
Okay.
like, yeah, this we're just gonna flat back this baby
I
today.
believe I did hit the rack one time because of that.
Yeah. You just move out and flatten out. So do you think it's possible for someone to use fear and that kind of like overcoming it or not overcoming it and use that to their advantage?
I think it's super easy for you to let it, for you to not overcome it. Like, you can get too much in your head.
To let it
Super
dictate
easy.
like
Yeah.
how your
Yeah, exactly.
not only your performance for the day is, but maybe like
Attitude, too.
Yeah, your attitude. Yeah, for sure.
For you, and if you can use it to your advantage. I don't really know how much to say on this because
You're Coach Carl, and you're not scared of nothing.
I'm not scared of nothing. You get the first squat fears we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Even in equipped, you have the first bench fears.
If for those listening, if you're mostly raw listeners, it's way more common to bomb out on bench and equip lifting because that shit's wild.
Those shirts are wild.
Yeah.
But as far as using it to overcome, I think once you get one out the way, the confidence just soars. You can use the fear to go into it like, oh, well, this might go well, this might not go well, but, you're going to give it your all. You trained X amount of months getting towards it. If you were doing it the correct way, you should be able to take, the same numbers going through. Like, oh, I've just done this a million times. This is just another day. I'm just on a different bench.
Yeah.
And usually, in my experience, if you can get the first one out the way, the rest are just astronomically easier confidence-wise. So I don't know if that's a way to get past the fear, but it's just like using that to excel forward afterwards.
Right. And again, like almost like with the entry thing, using it as reflection. Like, what are the things I can change to maybe perfect this or develop it as a particular skill?
Yeah. And every single time you're going to get, I wouldn't say better at it, but you're going to get more experience to know more information about going into it.
I feel like there's an old age saying where they say you get more comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
That might be the one we're looking for
That's probably
in that situation. So we're about wrapped up. Let's think about some closing remarks. So something I want to say as a closer, and then I'll pass the torch to you. Dude, I feel like it's weird because I feel like I'm passing the torch to you in a lot more ways than one. And it's steep, man. It's hard to handle. Like, I'm okay with it because, like, you're you, and I love you.
And my shoulders are huge. I can carry it.
Yeah, your shoulders are... I built those shoulders, bro.
did.
They're fucking massive.
You did.
But, like, I don't know. I'm ready and I'm not. And so that kind of brings me to my last point. So when you hear somebody say retired in powerlifting, I think it's I definitely think it's an overused term. And actually, I think John Flagg just talking about this? He was,
so.
yeah, John Flagg. Shout out John Flagg.
The homie.
The homie. I don't get coached except by Carl. But if I did have a coach, it would be fucking John Flagg. Or Eric Wilberg. I love Eric. Shout out Eric. But I think when you hear the term retiring, I think it's often utilized too much where someone will say, hey, like this meet went wrong. I got too much shit going on in my life. I had a kid, blah, blah, blah. I'm retiring from powerlifting. And then like you'll see somebody like 3 months later sign up and train for a meet. And I'm like, dude, this sport isn't serious enough for you to say, I'm going to retire, like, and make a big thing about it and then look like a dumbass because you're right back in it.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to have
Step back.
an off season.
Yeah.
It's okay to step back. And so for a while when I talked to you about it, like, so we've got the consensus back on my pec. It's a torn pec major into the pec tendon as well. In order for me to bench again like I was, like in the 600s and shit, it would require surgery. This would be my 4th surgery in 4 years, which is fucking steep. I'm 35. That's steep on anyone. That's very hard for anyone. And each piece, like even though they quote unquote fix you, it takes a piece away from you. And I mean that both physically and I mean that both mentally, because that shit is dark and it's a lot of things people don't talk about. So I don't want to say I'm gonna retire because I don't know if that's true, and I don't want to make a fucking big deal out of it. Says the guy saying this out loud on our first podcast. I know, right?
You're not one to eat your words, though. So
I'm not one to eat my words. So my big thing is I'm gonna take time off. I'm gonna get healthy. For now, I'm gonna pass the torch. But your days are numbered, Big C. Your Big C.
Days are numbered.
I'll have you know, I benched a whole 35-pound dumbbell on my left side the other day. So, I mean, that's only like another 630 pounds to go before I'm right back there.
back
So,
where you
like,
were.
bro, your days are fucking
On the
limited. I'm
cusp.
telling you right now, you were just dangling by a thread, bro.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say I'm retired. But I do, in this instance, think more about you, about how many people I coach, about enjoying my time being with the people that helped me make this place and these things matter, and why I continue to do things in the sport and be a part of it. Because I would love to go places with you and handle you, and hopefully one day see Jess back at a meet. That would be fucking
Would love
sweet.
that.
We all
That's
want
sick.
that. But I think something really important that came from that is like, it helped me understand her more, because like, you know how she's never in a rush to like sign up for a meet. And me and Nora was like, meet, like let's do a
Got the next
fucking
one
meet.
signed up already.
Yeah. Like, I think this whole thing really helped me understand like how she's like, I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna go when I'm ready. I don't know when I'll be ready if I want to do it. Like, and I never understood that because I never had that. And I think that this new fear, see what I did there? We went full circle.
Back to
This new fear I have of, well, what about if the next one's so fucked up that I can't even enjoy recreationally working out anymore? What about this next one's so fucked up that like I can't be with Carl anymore? I can't be around Jess in the gym anymore? What about if this next one's so fucked up that when I pass the torch, it's not because of who's strongest or who's leading the pack. It's, hey, I need you to take the keys to this place because I physically cannot do this anymore, like be here anymore. And that weight's heavy on me. And so I think out of all my fears, through injuries, through getting under squat bars, through getting under bench bars again, after knowing like this could literally just fucking tear my body apart again, I think that is the scariest fear I've ever had, is knowing that, what about if that part of the sport, the reason I'm still here, gets taken away from me? And like I said before, I don't want to get to the point where we never have to, we have to meet that guy.
Right. I will say on the other side of that same topic, and that, you know, not everyone has the opportunity that you do, because yes, you might have to take a step away from the sport to realign yourself, but you still have the people here and the place to be involved heavily. And from somebody else who could have the same circumstances but doesn't have the community around yourself, they'd have to step away and they don't have anything. So, in a sense, on the opposite side of the coin, it's still here and it's still something to be involved in, and it's still like a good opportunity to I don't know, just be involved still. You know, you're not completely walking away from anything.
You're not cashing out.
Exactly.
You're just putting your money in a different place.
Yes, yeah. There's two sides to it. You've said before you've seen the other side of powerlifting when you're talking about being behind meets.
Yeah.
Now you're seeing the other side of powerlifting where you push people beyond what you were doing and then also taking your training in another direction to keep yourself in one piece.
They might call you Big C, but this summer I'm being Big Sexy, bro. I'm bodybuilding all summer long.
Operation Big Sexy.
Operation Big Sexy. All right, guys, that's about it for our time. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I really hope we're doing more of this. Carl, I really appreciate you being here, man.
Of course.
It's meant a lot to me. So I'll let you go ahead and do your sign-off first, and then I'll do mine. Do you have a sign-off? Did we make a sign-off for
I
this?
didn't make a sign-off, but I can wing one.
All right,
real quick.
wing it.
You guys can catch me on Instagram at Carl_LeeMaster. Working on changing the handle right now, but some closing remarks for me is if I could just go back to say my biggest fear in the whole sport would probably be having this guy wrap my knees because he did a doozy on me the other day.
Fair. I you know what? I take that with a badge of honor, man.
Yeah.
I do, truly. Guys, it's been real. This is one shot, one take with me and Big C here. So hopefully tune in to our next one. Have fun. Be scared, and then don't be scared. Much love. With Grumpy Paws. We're out.
We're out. How do you think that went?
I think that was it, bro. I think
was
that was a
it.
good one. Hell yeah.
Did you see dude roll up? Who the hell was that?